According to electrical codes, every receptacle located in a kitchen is required to be ground fault circuit interrupter protected. A ground fault circuit interrupter, often abbreviated as GFCI, is a crucial safety device designed to protect individuals from electrical shock. It works by monitoring the current flowing in a circuit. If it detects that current is leaking to ground, meaning that some electricity is flowing through an unintended path like a person, the GFCI quickly trips the circuit, cutting off the power supply and preventing a potentially fatal electrical shock. The presence of water and conductive surfaces in kitchens significantly increases the risk of electrical hazards. Appliances such as toasters, blenders, and coffee makers can malfunction, creating ground faults. Water spills and damp environments can exacerbate these risks, making it more likely for electricity to find an unintended path to ground. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to mitigate these risks by quickly interrupting the circuit when a ground fault is detected, thereby minimizing the severity of electrical shocks. The electrical code mandates the use of ground fault circuit interrupters in kitchens to ensure a high level of safety. This requirement applies to all receptacles, regardless of their location within the kitchen or the appliances they serve. This includes receptacles located on countertops, islands, peninsulas, and those serving specific appliances. By requiring ground fault circuit interrupter protection for all kitchen receptacles, the electrical code aims to create a safer environment for homeowners and occupants, reducing the risk of electrical shocks and related injuries. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, establishes the standards for electrical installations in the United States. These standards are developed and updated regularly by the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, to reflect the latest safety practices and technological advancements. State and local jurisdictions typically adopt the National Electrical Code, with or without modifications, to govern electrical installations within their respective areas. Ground fault circuit interrupter protection requirements are specified in Article 210.8 of the National Electrical Code. This article outlines the specific locations where ground fault circuit interrupter protection is required, including kitchens, bathrooms, garages, and outdoor areas. The code specifies that all 125-volt, 15-amp and 20-amp receptacles installed in kitchen countertops must be ground fault circuit interrupter protected. This requirement applies to both dwelling units and commercial buildings. The electrical code also addresses the installation and testing of ground fault circuit interrupters to ensure their proper functionality. Ground fault circuit interrupters must be readily accessible and installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Regular testing is recommended to verify that the device is functioning correctly. A ground fault circuit interrupter can be installed in several ways. Firstly, a ground fault circuit interrupter can be installed as a receptacle. This is the most common method, where the existing receptacle is replaced with a ground fault circuit interrupter receptacle. This type of receptacle has test and reset buttons on its face, allowing for easy testing and resetting of the device. Secondly, a ground fault circuit interrupter can be installed as a circuit breaker. A ground fault circuit interrupter circuit breaker is installed in the electrical panel and provides ground fault protection for the entire circuit. This method is often used when it is not feasible or practical to replace individual receptacles with ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles. Thirdly, a ground fault circuit interrupter can be installed as a combination device. Some manufacturers offer combination devices that combine a ground fault circuit interrupter receptacle with a standard circuit breaker. This type of device provides both ground fault and overcurrent protection for the circuit. Ground fault circuit interrupters work by monitoring the current flowing through the circuit. The ground fault circuit interrupter measures the current flowing to the load and compares it to the current returning from the load. Under normal conditions, these two currents should be equal. However, if a ground fault occurs, some of the current will leak to ground, causing an imbalance between the two currents. When the ground fault circuit interrupter detects this imbalance, it quickly trips the circuit, cutting off the power supply. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to trip within a fraction of a second, typically within 20 to 30 milliseconds. This rapid response time is crucial in preventing electrical shocks and minimizing the severity of injuries. The tripping threshold for a ground fault circuit interrupter is typically 5 mA, meaning that it will trip when it detects a current leakage of 5 mA or more. Regular testing of ground fault circuit interrupters is essential to ensure their proper functionality. The electrical code recommends testing ground fault circuit interrupters monthly. To test a ground fault circuit interrupter receptacle, press the test button on the face of the receptacle. This should cause the receptacle to trip, cutting off power to the circuit. If the receptacle does not trip, it may be faulty and should be replaced. To reset a ground fault circuit interrupter receptacle, press the reset button on the face of the receptacle. This will restore power to the circuit. If the ground fault circuit interrupter trips repeatedly, it may indicate a ground fault condition in the circuit. In this case, it is important to identify and correct the cause of the ground fault before resetting the ground fault circuit interrupter. Common causes of ground faults include damaged wiring, faulty appliances, and water intrusion. If you are unable to identify and correct the cause of the ground fault, it is recommended to consult with a qualified electrician. There are several types of ground fault circuit interrupters available, each designed for specific applications. Firstly, there are receptacle ground fault circuit interrupters. These are the most common type of ground fault circuit interrupter and are designed to replace standard receptacles. They are typically used in kitchens, bathrooms, and other areas where ground fault protection is required. Secondly, there are circuit breaker ground fault circuit interrupters. These are installed in the electrical panel and provide ground fault protection for the entire circuit. They are often used when it is not feasible or practical to replace individual receptacles with ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles. Thirdly, there are portable ground fault circuit interrupters. These are designed for temporary use and can be plugged into any standard receptacle. They are often used on construction sites and other locations where temporary ground fault protection is needed. Fourthly, there are ground fault circuit interrupter adapters. These are designed to adapt standard receptacles for use with ground fault circuit interrupter protection. They are typically used in older homes where it is not practical to replace the existing receptacles. When selecting a ground fault circuit interrupter, it is important to choose one that is appropriate for the application. Consider the location where the ground fault circuit interrupter will be installed, the type of load it will be protecting, and the voltage and amperage requirements of the circuit. It is also important to choose a ground fault circuit interrupter that is listed by a recognized testing laboratory such as Underwriters Laboratories or all. This ensures that the ground fault circuit interrupter has been tested and meets safety standards. The installation of ground fault circuit interrupters should be performed by a qualified electrician. This ensures that the ground fault circuit interrupter is installed correctly and that the electrical system is safe. Before installing a ground fault circuit interrupter, the electrician will inspect the wiring and electrical panel to ensure that they are in good condition. They will also verify that the circuit is properly grounded. The electrician will then install the ground fault circuit interrupter in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and the electrical code. After the ground fault circuit interrupter is installed, the electrician will test it to ensure that it is functioning correctly. They will also provide the homeowner with instructions on how to test and reset the ground fault circuit interrupter. Proper maintenance of ground fault circuit interrupters is essential to ensure their continued functionality. Regular testing is recommended to verify that the ground fault circuit interrupter is functioning correctly. The electrical code recommends testing ground fault circuit interrupters monthly. If a ground fault circuit interrupter trips repeatedly, it may indicate a ground fault condition in the circuit. In this case, it is important to identify and correct the cause of the ground fault before resetting the ground fault circuit interrupter. Common causes of ground faults include damaged wiring, faulty appliances, and water intrusion. If you are unable to identify and correct the cause of the ground fault, it is recommended to consult with a qualified electrician. Ground fault circuit interrupters are an essential safety device that can protect individuals from electrical shock. By understanding how ground fault circuit interrupters work, how to test them, and how to maintain them, you can help ensure the safety of your home and family. The National Electrical Code in section 210.8 specifies where ground fault circuit interrupter protection is required. This section is updated regularly to reflect the latest safety standards and technological advancements. It is important to stay informed about the current requirements of the National Electrical Code to ensure that your electrical system is safe and compliant. In addition to ground fault circuit interrupters, there are other safety devices that can help protect individuals from electrical hazards. Firstly, there are arc fault circuit interrupters, or RFCIs. These devices are designed to protect against electrical fires caused by arcing faults. Arc fault circuit interrupters monitor the electrical circuit for signs of arcing, which can occur when wires become loose or damaged. When an arc is detected, the arc fault circuit interrupter quickly trips the circuit, cutting off the power supply and preventing a fire. Secondly, there are surge protectors. These devices are designed to protect electronic equipment from voltage surges. Voltage surges can occur due to lightning strikes, power outages, or other electrical disturbances. Surge protectors divert excess voltage away from electronic equipment, preventing damage. Thirdly, there are tamper-resistant receptacles. These receptacles are designed to prevent children from inserting objects into the slots. Tamper-resistant receptacles have spring-loaded shutters that block the slots unless a two-prong plug is inserted. By using these safety devices in conjunction with ground fault circuit interrupters, you can create a safer electrical environment for your home and family. Electrical safety is a critical aspect of home ownership and should not be taken lightly. By understanding the risks associated with electricity and taking the necessary precautions, you can help prevent electrical shocks, fires, and other hazards. Always consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work, and never attempt to perform electrical repairs yourself unless you are properly trained and qualified. Remember to always turn off the power at the circuit breaker before working on any electrical circuits. Use insulated tools and wear appropriate safety gear, such as rubber gloves and safety glasses. Never work on electrical circuits in wet or damp conditions. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical safety, consult with a qualified electrician. Ground fault circuit interrupters play a vital role in ensuring electrical safety in kitchens and other areas where water and conductive surfaces are present. By understanding their function, installation, and maintenance, you can contribute to a safer living environment. The electrical code requirements for ground fault circuit interrupter protection are in place to protect individuals from electrical shock and should be strictly adhered to. When dealing with electrical systems, it is always best to err on the side of caution and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Electrical safety is a shared responsibility, and by working together, we can create a safer environment for everyone. Section 210.8 of the National Electrical Code details the specific requirements for ground fault circuit interrupter protection in dwelling units. This includes not only kitchens but also bathrooms, garages, and outdoor locations. The code specifies that all 125 volt to 250 volt receptacles installed in these locations must be ground fault circuit interrupter protected. The reason for this requirement is to minimize the risk of electrical shock in areas where water or moisture may be present. In kitchens, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is required for all receptacles serving countertop surfaces, as well as receptacles located within 6 feet of a sink. This includes receptacles serving islands, peninsulas, and breakfast bars. The purpose of this requirement is to protect individuals from electrical shock while using appliances near water sources. In bathrooms, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is required for all receptacles. This includes receptacles serving countertop surfaces, as well as receptacles located near sinks, bathtubs, and showers. The purpose of this requirement is to protect individuals from electrical shock while using appliances in the bathroom. In garages, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is required for all 125 volt, 15 amp and 20 amp receptacles. This includes receptacles serving workbenches, power tools, and other equipment. The purpose of this requirement is to protect individuals from electrical shock while working in the garage. In outdoor locations, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is required for all 125-volt, 15-amp and 20-amp receptacles that are readily accessible. This includes receptacles serving patios, decks, and other outdoor areas. The purpose of this requirement is to protect individuals from electrical shock while using appliances outdoors. It is important to note that the National Electrical Code is updated regularly, so it is essential to stay informed about the latest requirements. The code is intended to provide a minimum level of safety, and it is always best to exceed the requirements whenever possible. By following the National Electrical Code and taking the necessary precautions, you can help ensure the safety of your home and family. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical safety, consult with a qualified electrician.